أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم ربنا زدنا علما نافعا وعملا صالحا. اللهم ربنا زدنا علما نافعا وعملا صالحا. اللهم ربنا زدنا علما نافعا وعملا صالحا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, we will start from Surah Al-Kahf, verse 23. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا. ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9. قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا له غيب السماوات والأرض أبصر به وأسمع ما لهم من دونه من ولي ولا يشرك في حكمه أحدا. واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لا مبدل لكلماته ولن تجد من دونه ملتحدا. واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا. وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر. إنا أعتدنا للظالمين نارا أحاط بهم سرادقها وإن يستغيثوا يغاثوا بماء كالمهل يشوي الوجوه بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا. أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق متكئين فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا. واضرب لهم مثل الرجلين جعلنا لأحدهما جنتين من أعناب وحففناهما بنخل وجعلنا بينهما زرعا كلتا الجنتين آتت أكلها ولم تظلم منه شيئا وفجرنا خلالهما نهرا وكان له ثمر فقال لصاحبه وهو يحاوره أنا أكثر منك مالا وأعز نفرا ودخل جنته وهو ظالم لنفسه قال ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا وما أظن الساعة قائمة ولئن رددت إلى ربي لأجدن خيرا منها منقلبا قال له صاحبه وهو يحاوره أكفرت بالذي خلقك من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم سواك رجلا أكفرت بالذي خلقك من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم سواك رجلا لكن هو الله ربي ولا أشرك بربي أحدا ولولا إذ دخلت جنتك قلت ما شاء الله لا قوة إلا بالله إن ترني أنا أقل منك مالا وولدا فعسى ربي أن يؤتيني خيرا من جنتك ويرسل عليها حسبانا من السماء فتصبح صعيدا زلقا أو يصبح ماؤها غورا فلن تستطيع له طلبا وأحيط بثمره فأصبح يقلب كفيه على ما أنفق فيها وهي خاوية على عروشها ويقول يا ليتني لم أشرك بربي أحدا ولم تكن له فئة ينصرونه من دون الله وما كان منتصرا هنالك الولاية لله الحق هو خير ثوابا وخير عقبا واضرب لهم مثل الحياة الدنيا كماء إن أنزلناه من السماء فاختلط به نبات الأرض فأصبح هشيما تذروه الرياح وكان الله على كل شيء مقتدرا المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا والباقيات الصالحات خير عند ربك ثوابا وخير أملا ويوم نسير الجبال وترى الأرض بارزة وحشرناهم فلم نغادر منهم أحدا وعرضوا على ربك صفا لقد جئتمونا كما خلقناكم أول مرة بل زعمتم أن لن نجعل لكم موعدا ووضع الكتاب فترى المجرمين مشفقين مما فيه ويقولون يا ويلتنا ما لهذا الكتاب لا يغادر صغيرة ولا كبيرة إلا أحصاها ووجدوا ما عملوا حاضرا ولا يظلم ربك أحدا. Okay, from the verses of 32 to 44, just before that verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the people who are humble and whose allegiance to people is due to Iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Tawheed, and then they perform righteous deeds consciously and proactively, and they make that into their daily planned routine by which they intend results and fruits of this life, but most importantly the coming life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about them attaining Jannah in the coming life for eternity. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, talking about Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about another reality that can take place upon the surface of the earth, and that is someone who is ungrateful, they can have Jannah. Someone who is ungrateful, they can have Jannah and wealth and prosperity and luxury. Yeah, and they can have a psyche by which they feel and they believe they have every right or they have every justification to be arrogant, to be boastful, to show off and not be humble, and eventually they even disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So this example Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives in Surah Al-Kahf. So this example Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives in Surah Al-Kahf is example mainly to do with anyone who is rich and well off, and they become ungrateful, boastful, they start showing off, and eventually this leads to kufr, disbelief. Either they are already disbelievers or they become disbelievers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about the person who reminds him or her and they are still arrogant and boastful. However, in this incident, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually manifests his wrath upon this individual. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls this a parable, a method. وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلٍ. From verse 32 to 44, he began by saying, وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلٍ. Present to them an example or a parable of two men. Now, the reason I said this as a parable or said this as a method is because this cycle, exact cycle, takes place continuously upon the surface of the earth. So, it doesn't have to be two men, it can be two women, it can be a man and a woman, right? They're close. One is a disbeliever and one is a Muslim, or both are Muslims, but one becomes a disbeliever. Yeah. And it's mainly, the main cause of it is wealth and prosperity and luxury. So the mindset given from this qissa, this incident, is follows. Real gratitude leads to contentment. Real gratitude leads to contentment. So, if you are at the moment in your life, you are not content at your present qadr, then question your gratitude to Allah Jalla wa Ala. You have to dig deep to find the favors, the blessings, which are many, which are enveloping you constantly, consistently, daily, routinely, 24 hours of the day and night. Every person will go through trials and tribulations. That is guaranteed. And as we say so many times, this life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created it in such a way that you will be tested and tried. It doesn't matter how high you live or how low you choose to live. You will be tried and tested to see how not only are you worse, are you bad, or are you good, but how good are you and how worst are you. So it's not only about being good or bad or being good and evil, it's about how bad and how good, how upright, how evil. And also, if it's about love, how much do you love? How much do you love Allah and Muhammad Sallallahu and the coming life of honor and dignity and beauty and pleasures and delights of the coming life? It's not simply about, yes, you love the akhirah, it's about how much you love the akhirah. So everyone will be rewarded not simply according to their deeds, because the pleasures and the delights is eternal. So they'll be rewarded according to the quality and the weight of the deeds. So the reward isn't simply the reward of quantum, it's a reward of quality and weight. So whatever you're going through in this life, there is a reward for you in the coming life. Minimum, that should give you contentment and then gratitude. Because you're getting a reward. Whatever you're going through, you're getting a reward in the akhirah life. For how long? For eternity. So the minimum you ought to have is contentment if we do not have gratitude. However, in order for you to have and receive at the core depth level of your soul contentment, which is settled, you need to work on your gratitude. You need to work on your gratitude. And without questioning yourself, without taking yourself into account, and without seeing the reward that is being created for you and prepared for you in the coming life for eternity, you will not be able to have real gratitude within your soul and within your heart. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, He gives the example of someone who's living a luxurious life. And he has a companion who is close to that companion. There's no authentic ahadith regarding this story. There's only statements from the Mufassirin. Some say in the Quran it says sahib, close companions. Some said they were brothers. They were brothers, both inherited large amount of wealth and assets. One donated most of it and became poor. The other kept, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him increase of that wealth, by which it became very prosperous, and he attained luxury through these wealth and assets. Yeah. Whatever the case, we know they were close enough for one to show off and one to advise. Whatever the case, they were close enough for one of them what? To show off, and the other one to advise. Okay? So, let me read to you the verses. وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الرَّجُلَيْنِ. Give the example of two men. We made for one of them two gardens. So there's two gardens of grapes. It's a huge garden, because Jannah in Arabic language is not called Jannah unless it's a huge garden. Gardens of what? Grapes. As you know, grapes eats lots of water. It needs lots of water. And it's one of the most luxurious of fruits. Back in the days, only kings and queens and princes, they could afford grapes. It was an expensive food. So for him to grow grapes, it shows that he was very well off. A'nab came in plural, not singular, meaning there were huge gardens which had huge grapes, bustan, garden of grapes, basically. Huge, it wasn't small. So lots of grapes he used to harvest. Was that it? No. وَحَفَفْنَاهُمَا بِنَخْلٍ. Both of these Jannah, they were encircled within date trees, palm trees. وَحَفَفْنَاهُمَا means it was not one date tree going around like that to make it into a wall. It was lots of date trees which were encircling them. So it wasn't just one date tree just going around like a wall. Yeah, it was many that naturally then made it into a circle surrounding the grape gardens. And in between, is that it? No, that's not it. In between, he was also harvesting crops. وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمَا زَرْعًا. In between, in between the two Jannah, he was harvesting the crops. Both of the Jannah, كِلْتَا الْجَنَّتَيْنِ آتَتْ أُكُلَهَا. Both of the Jannah, not one, both of the Jannah were harvesting its utmost level, were giving their fruits at utmost level. So the grapes were giving it the most delicious, sweetest taste. They were not rotten. They were, every bunch were to its maximum due. Yeah. The dates were giving at the right times, and also the crops. Everything was giving him fruits at the best level. Once a year, one season, no. It's continuous, consistent, year in, year out. Allah says, كلتا الجنتين آتت أكلها ولم تظلم منه شيئا. He was not oppressed when it comes to Allah giving him the best of all of these, from crops to dates to fruits. There was no oppression done to him whatsoever. Not only that, وَفَجَّرْنَا خِلَالَهُمَا نَهَرًا. We sprang خِلَالَهُمَا, between them both, this huge Jannah, a stream, so that he only can utilize for this two Jannah his own stream, his own water. No one will fight for his water. So he's self-sufficient. He doesn't have to wait for the rain to come, because there's a spring Allah sprung for him, by which he can utilize that water for both of these huge Jannah and the gardens of grapes and the crops therein. And you can see how much water there is, because the date palm needs water, the crops, they need water, and obviously the grapes need water. وَكَانَ لَهُ ثَمَرٌ. Jalla now emphasizing more. وَكَانَ لَهُ ثَمَرٌ. He had fruits, meaning he would eat and then the rest will remain. What would he do with the rest? Obviously he would give sadaqat. No, he will maybe give to show off, or he will obviously sell and make money. فقال لصاحبه وهو يحاوره أنا أكثر منك مالا وأعز نفرا. So he's boasting to his companion. So his companion comes, sees him, visits him. I don't think he goes to see his companion. I think that his companion comes to see and visits him. And he talks, but in the talk there's indication of showing off, but not necessarily says it. But that day, why did he said it? He uttered it because it's in the heart. It comes out sooner or later. So he uttered it. What did he utter? He said, "Ana aktharu minka malan wa a'azzu nafara." I am more in wealth than you. I have lots of wealth. Why would someone say that? I have more wealth than you. Huh? Why would someone say that?
A sign of superiority.
Feel some kind of jealousy from someone who won up them.
But here is more to do with showing off and belittling, because the other one is poor. The other one is poor. So here is about showing off and belittling. And there's a deeper meaning, or there's a deeper reason. The deeper reason is, you believe in Islam and Allah Jalla wa Ala, and look at you. I don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and look at me. So there's a deeper meaning. And that is, your belief in Allah is not helping you, is not benefiting you. Yeah. My disbelief in Allah, A'udhu Billah, is helping me and benefiting me. Obviously, he's deceiving himself.
It's true that he disbelieved in this person.
Yeah.
Because he said, if I was to return to Allah, when I return to Allah, I'll get something better than this.
He said, if.
He said, if. SubhanAllah.
And he has lots of children.
Oh.
وَأَعَزُّ نَفَرًا. Yeah, he has lots of children. So maybe he had a couple of wives. And so he has lots of nafara, most likely men. وَعَزُّ نَفَرًا, most likely boys, many, so that he has strength politically, socially. وَدَخَلَ جَنَّتَهُ وَهُوَ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. So he was talking to his companion and he was showing him all of this. Obviously, he was showing him when everything was ripe, everything was ready to be picked and eaten. Yeah? And he entered the Jannah. So when he entered the Jannah, I.e. the grapes. So before he was showing, it was coming towards, and he was saying all of this huge acres of land. Yeah? So he enters into the grape, and when he entered, in his heart, he thought, this will never end. This will never end. Meaning this land, it will be his children. This spring that he has, that's giving him gushing water, will remain. This grapes, this fruit, date trees, this food, crops, they will never end. And he said it, and he even said it. قال ما أظن أن تبيد هذه أبدا. I don't think this will ever end. وما أظن الساعة قائمة. I don't think. Why is he saying that? Because his companion is to give da'wah. So he said, I don't think Qiyamah. I don't think Qiyamah was how is Qiyamah related? Meaning, in order for Qiyamah to start, this obviously all of this earth has to be finished, to be destroyed. So he's saying, if this will not be destroyed, then I don't think Qiyamah will exist. I don't think Qiyamah will happen. وما أظن الساعة قائمة. Yeah, I don't think Qiyamah will be established. ولا إرددت إلى ربي لأجدن خيرا منها منقلبا. Deception. He's saying, if I was to return to my Rabb, then I believe I will find with him something more better. Why? Because he's giving me now, I must be doing something good, right? I must be doing something good. That's how deceived a person can become through wealth and luxury and position and power and authority. They can become so deceived that anything khair they do other than al-iman and tawheed and ibadah, they think because of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them in the coming life. La, the condition of reward ultimately lies in iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and tawheed and ibadah of Jalla wa ala, and then what he has prioritized of khair, you perform willingly, consciously, proactively, wholeheartedly. قال له صاحبه وهو يحاوره أكفرت بالذي خلقك من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم سواك رجلا. So this companion of his, I'm sure he was giving him da'wah beforehand, and they were talking constantly on these issues. They were having dialogues and debates, intellectual, spiritual, these dialogues they were having. But this time, I think, because the other person became so obvious and blatant in his kufr, the companion also became very straight and direct when it comes to the da'wah. So he said, are you going to disbelieve? Are you going to disbelieve of the one who created you from turab, i.e. the original human being who is Adam alayhi salam, and then from a drop of fluid, i.e. from your parents, ثُمَّ سَوَّاكَ رَجُلًا, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created within the womb an upright man, an upright human being. Here, Allah does not say what he answers back, but he definitely answers. He says things which are kufri. which Allah does not say. So then this companion replies back by saying, لَكِنَّهُ اللَّهُ رَبِّي وَلَا أُشْرِكُ بِرَبِّي أَحَدًا. But however, I admire, you can believe whatever you want to believe, whatever you said, it's all disbelief, it's all kufr. My Rabb, He's Allah, وَلَا أُشْرِكُ بِرَبِّي أَحَدًا, and I will not associate any partners or any rights of Allah with anyone else. So now then, he advises him more specifically, وَلَوْلَا إِذْ دَخَلْتَ جَنَّتَكَ قُلْتَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ إن ترني أنا أقل منك مالا وولدا فعسى ربي أن يؤتيني خيرا من جنتك ويرسل علي حسبانا من السماء فتصبح صعيدا زلقا أو يصبح ماؤها غورا فلن تستطيع له طلبا. Okay, so he says, if only you entered your Jannah and said, MashaAllah, all of this is by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, La quwwata illa billah, nothing happens, nothing exists, nothing moves, nothing grows, nothing gives results and fruits except by Allah's will and by His permission. If you said that, then Allah subhanahu, you'd have got from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more and more. Not only in this life, but in the coming life. But because you are attributing all of these things to yourself or to natural causes, to the natural creation, right? Then this can happen. What is that? He says. Also he says, إِن تَنَ أَنَا أَقَلَّ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَوَلَدًا, and also you see me having less wealth, you belittling me for me having less wealth and also less children, especially boys. Then he says, فَعَسَى رَبِّي, maybe, you're boasting and you're either attributing yourself or either you attribute to the creation. But ma Rabb, if he wishes, and yu'tiyani khayran min jannatik, he can give me something better than your Jannah. Not only that, not only he can give me something better than your Jannah, وَيُرْسِلَ عَلَيْهَا حُسْبَانًا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. Not only that, but send fire from the sky, فَتُصْبِحَ صَعِيدًا زَلَقًا, a fire from the sky by which the roots of these grapes and palm trees are burnt out, so you can't even grow them again anymore. The soil is completely destroyed. Sa'idan Zalaqa means that soil now cannot produce any crops or any fruits or any trees. أو يصبح ماؤها غورا فلن تستطيع له طلبا, or that water, right? So either that is destroyed in this way, or the source of these trees, these crops growing, which is the water, that source not dries out, but it is the water is it has another hole, bigger hole, by which then all the water, if it comes out, it goes down, and eventually that spring also dries out. So from the beneath, another hole exists, and that hole takes away all of that water of the spring. By which then you cannot even seek that water even if you wanted to. Here there's a side note. Be careful of the dua of a true mu'min. So here, because he was so hurt, he didn't, because the other person was belittling him, embarrassing him, right? Because he was so hurt, he uttered it, if my Rabb wanted. He uttered it. He didn't make dua against him. He simply said, look, if my Rabb wanted, this can happen. And what happened? It actually happened. So all of his trees, everything, Jalla wa ala, in front of his eyes, burnt them. From this, exactly the way the person made the dua, this mu'min made the dua, it happened. From the sky, fire came down, burnt everything. The water disappeared. And then he began to regret what he said, what he did, and what he believed. Again, he has a side point, and I've mentioned this before. As well as Allah talk about punishment as a sign of His Jalla wa ala. Why does he always say, go and see the people who have punished, or read about the people who have punished? Why does he always say that? Because punishment affirms not only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, but also affirms that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fully aware of everything and also has full authority over everything. How? Because in the punishment, he saves the believers. The individual, the lands, the properties. And in punishment, he destroys the disbelievers, the ungrateful ones, the individuals, the lands, and the properties. Yeah, put that down. So then the one who goes and checks, they go and find that this specific individual was taken out. This individual house was taken out. This individual land was taken out. The other individual next door, he was saved. His land was saved. His property was saved. The one after him, he was destroyed. The one before him was destroyed. So even if those people are buried, you'll find there are some people who were intact. And some people, the arms, legs, all of this broken to pieces. So that's what the archaeologists, they find this house was intact, nothing happened to this house. Next house was completely destroyed, next house was completely destroyed. That's a sign that there was punishment here. And because of that punishment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was full aware and had full authority. That's the wisdom behind Allah telling us constantly, go and see what I've done. Go and see what I've done. So now you cannot affirm that this was a natural disaster. If it was a natural disaster, then so-and-so was meant to be also destroyed, but he wasn't. Or his land wasn't, or his property wasn't, or his family wasn't. So here, for example, everyone else's gardens were protected. His gardens were destroyed. So now no one can say it was a natural disaster. Everyone has to affirm this was punishment. And then everyone has to affirm that what was said between these two people, and then who was aware, and that dua that was made. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above from the whole creation was listening to them. And I'm sure he heard this individual saying these things in his heart before. And eventually once he uttered it, and this individual Muslim mu'min made that dua, khalas, that was Allah. How many of us belittle people and show off because of our wealth, because of our prosperity, because of our houses? You feel it, you sense it, and some people even say it. Now, don't think just because fire isn't coming and burning away your gardens, your properties, your assets, your income, doesn't mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not destroy your business or destroy your income. It doesn't have to be a fire that comes and destroys it. It can be anything and everything. So some people, Muslims, will be punished, or disbelievers, if they go to the level of where Muslims are inviting them, they're talking to them, but true believers are giving them advice and da'wah. and they be arrogant and boastful and show off, then punishment can come. And even Muslims, if they are like this, then punishment can come upon them. So this example Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave in Surah Al-Kahf, so that we appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we ought to appreciate, and we realize that whatever khair we perform, that there is a reward for us in the coming life, and with that we ought to run after, flee after, seek for that we seek, and we compete for the coming life. If there's any competition, it's for the coming life and not this life. And whatever we're going through, we find ways and means for us to find gratitude therein, and then contentment therein. Only then will we be thankful and grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also appreciative of whatever we are going through or however we are, and we will be humble towards the believers and Muslims and humanity at large. We will not be arrogant, we will not be boasting, we will also not show off. Side note, if someone is actually showing off or having these thoughts of show off and belittling and looking down upon people, how do you rectify it? How do you rectify it? The way to rectify it, as we said, dig deep first and foremost of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you and is giving you. Dig deep. Find out the things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Question it. Go to the root of the issue. Go to the source. Ask questions. If you don't ask questions, you will not internalize that it's actually coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will not settle in your heart. You have to ask questions. Second, when you get these thoughts, donate large amounts of money. Donate for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Donate to the poor people, the destitute people, the oppressed people who are being oppressed. Relieve the oppression. Third, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to get rid of these showing of thoughts, boasting thoughts, arrogant thoughts. Fourthly, go and actually live and spend time with people who are poor and destitute. Wipe their heads, stay with them, live with them, clothe them, shelter them. Do that. Spend time with them. And lastly, have companions amongst them. The more you do that cycle, the more you'll be able to get rid of arrogance, pride, ego, and looking down upon people. This is a social illness, and as we said, Surah Al-Kahf, its main principles in Surah Al-Kahf are social principles. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to have these mindsets in order for us to then be role models for the society, and most importantly, within ourselves, at least we can sleep in peace when we go to our beds and before we pass away. حياكم الله وبارك الله فيكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.